Welcome to the Growth Unlocked podcast. We share insights on navigating sales and scaling your business. We're finally launching, so this is a very exciting episode. Joining us today is Grace Cupat. She's the founder of ViaSkill, has a fascinating journey in helping professionals in navigating through career transitions or seeking advancement to reclaim their career stories. Grace, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. To kick things off, what is the most significant outcome your clients can achieve through partnering with ViaSkill?
One of the things I think we try to strive for is helping professionals really own their own career. So meaning that when a person goes to work, oftentimes if they end up leaving abruptly or changing on their own, they tend to lose their work. And that is not necessarily lose it in terms of what they've done, but more so the details of that. And so with that, that's also a loss of, the skills that were associated with it, the outcome of that. And so our platform actually takes all the projects that a person has done in the course of their career, translates that into skills. And with that translation, they have the opportunity to be able to output resumes on the fly, on demand, because their journey is already notated. Not only that, but they can also output like a professional portfolio without having to do any coding. It just happens to be there for them because they're notating their journey. And that kind of puts back into their own hands as far as whether they're with a company or they're transitioning to a new one or they're growing within that company. It's just knowing what your skills are in order to really know where you're going.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm curious, how are you currently spending your day at ViaSkill?
Well, my day at ViaSkill is really a lot of it is working continuously on the platform in terms of building it up, getting it to the next stage. Right now, we're consumer based, and the next stage of our transition is going to be enterprise based, so that we can help enterprises really close the gap from hiring, but also internal growth within their organizations for their employees. And so right now, we're just kind of continuously doing that. In the meantime, we are still a startup, and so we're working towards our next round of funding to help us get this out there and get the messaging out.
Nice. Yeah. I can definitely see that as a startup. So looking ahead, what are your primary goals for the next 6 to 12 months?
Great question. Yeah, our primary goals is really to get, like I said, get the word out, but also to help people really understand why it's important to track one's career. It's not just about that adage of just, job seeking, because we're not always job seeking. We're growing within our own careers, and really not understanding the skills that you use is really, it's detrimental when a review comes, or like if you happen to be freelancing and you want to pitch a deck, you don't really know your own skill set. So our growth and our vision is to get in front of a lot of people, to share with them the importance of owning your own career and really understand, what does that even mean? What do I need to upscale? What do I need to do? What are these projects turning into in terms of skills? And so our next 6 months is that, plus really growing the platform. So a few of the things we're growing within the platform is some of our AI characters that help it kind of become a more fun, interactive interface for users to really see. It's really not that difficult to know where you are, and that's what we want to try to do.
That's really interesting with AI. What are the current trends are you seeing in your market right now?
I think one of the current trends is that the AI is taken over the world, obviously, but there's also this misconception that you can just pop in your, build me a resume off ChatGPT or build it off of Gemini or something like that. The problem with that is that oftentimes you have to redo it over and over again. So, when a new job description, you got to put a new job description, then you have to put in your resume in there, and then it puts out, but then it also spits out things that are not really true because it doesn't know your whole background, right? And so the trends that I'm seeing right now is people are relying on some of these AIs, but then they're still having to do, while it shortens the time in making a resume or making a portfolio, there's still that it's not really connected with their entire story. And that makes it a lot more difficult for them. There's still a lot of maintenance that has to be involved, whether you use
Right.
ChatGPT. And then what I'm seeing also right now, and it's pretty common, I've spoken with people that had put out 300 to 800 resumes and didn't get anything back. And so that's the kind of thing where recruiters are requiring people to have more tailored resumes when they are
Right.
job seeking, which is very time consuming, even with the aid of some of these AIs out there. And so you have to really be careful with, you don't want to just rely on keywords. You really want to be you when you present
Right.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We all struggle sometimes in business. What's your biggest frustration right now within the business?
I think the biggest frustration right now is the is getting really the word, getting the message out of what we are as far as a business. I think a lot of times, when people say, "Well, what's the difference between ViaSkill and LinkedIn?" Like, well, for one thing, we're not a social media, so that's the biggest thing. So I
Right.
think just that getting by, because we're doing something that is kind of shaking up an age-old topic, which is our careers. It hasn't yet been done. There's pieces of it where you have one piece that makes your resume, another piece where you type it in your notes or someplace like that. There isn't one place that really owns your entire story, and I think that's where some people really misunderstand the business, and they're like, well, it just does this, well, it just does that. And so getting that message around there and the association within some of the other platforms is pretty difficult to do, whether you're in my business or my area. It's just, I think that's really important for any person who's starting a business to really, what are you trying to solve, and how can you reach people to pass that message along.
Yeah, definitely. So thinking about that specific bottleneck, what have you tried before that didn't quite work?
We've tried only just a few things. One of the things is trying to do a campaign, for instance, without fully understanding or getting the message out for who you are and what you do. I think that's kind of probably one of the, wasn't really so much costly because we did small micro testings, but it was something that what we learned is, like, before you do that, really understand the market and understand who it is that you're targeting. I think that's probably one of the things that we learned pretty quickly. When you go to do a video, make sure you have a landing page, for instance, that really talk about what are some of the advantages. And that's one of our biggest ones. The other one is just is making sure that you're listening. I think one of the
Right.
things when we first launched this, we knew how to navigate our own product,
Yeah.
but when somebody else came there, they're just like, I don't know where to go. So you got to listen to the
Yeah.
people that are actually using it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so for other leaders within the industry that might be experiencing similar challenges, what would you say to them?
I think it's important to really do your research and really understand the market. I think one of the most earliest things that I've learned in my industry is to know what the problem that you're solving is. And if you just rattle it out the very first time and you come up with this problem, it's probably not the real problem. Is what I've kind of learned. It's like you're solving. For me as a technical person, I'm focused a lot on features, and so when you're making a product that's like a SaaS, you're really focused on the features of that product. But really understanding what the problem is and getting down to the core took us about probably close to eight months to really know what is the problem and getting down to that core. I think that's, if you can get down to the problem and really identify with that, you'll save a lot of time.
Yeah. So, what would be a key takeaway um, that you would want our audience to remember from our conversation today?
A key takeaway is just, everybody works. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has a place where you want to go and where they came from. Just owning your own story, whether it's through ViaSkill or not, really understand the skills that you use every day is going to be super, super helpful when you're trying to grow. Because if you don't know it, you can be, one of the people that I had hired one time, 11 years in the industry, still thought of himself as a junior. Don't be that. Just know who you are.
um, would you mind sharing a success story for ViaSkill?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest success story in terms of like clients, or success story in terms of what we've done as a company.
Yeah, as a company.
As a company, I think the biggest success story that we had, believe it or not, is actually getting our trademark. was a real challenge, especially when you don't have a have an attorney to help you out with that. So that was a huge success story. But no, but seriously, I think the one of the biggest success stories for us is really just getting that platform launched from beta to production. Because
Yeah.
when you get from beta and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is breaking. Oh, okay, that's breaking. Okay, this is breaking. And getting it to the point where you're just like, whew, it's not breaking now. Thank God for that. That's, I think, when we finally said, yes, everything is good. That's our biggest success story, getting it from ideation to execution, like really executing on what the vision was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Grace, for
No
sharing
problem.
these insights today. Where can our listeners find you and learn more about ViaSkill?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great place for people to find me. I'm always on there. I won't answer everybody. It's just because there's a lot. I will try, but sometimes it's a little difficult. But yeah, definitely reach out to me. Connect to me on there. That's probably the easiest, fastest way. I check it a lot of times. So, and come visit ViaSkill, because
Yeah.
we're here for you.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for tuning into Growth Unlocked. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend and subscribe. We'll be back next time with more strategies to help you scale your business.